Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramartanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. So it has been a long time since we last discussed the 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. If you recollect, and I'll recapitulate what we discussed, but we were discussing verse number 19 and 20, which are connected to each other, which speak of two things, Purusha and Prakriti. Two things which are eternally coexistent. Each has a different role. This is according to Sankhya philosophy, which follows the dualistic philosophy. According to Advaita, there is only one reality, that is Brahman. And the other reality or other appearance, you may say, or a Vyavaharika Satya, or something which is of a temporary nature, is not considered to be a reality. It is just Maya or illusion. But here, Sri Krishna is synthesizing all the different systems of philosophy that existed during his time. So it's a wonderful text harmonizing everything. In the second chapter, we saw he's trying to discuss about the Atman, which is Jnana Yoga. But he does mention it is named as Sankhya Yoga. But the real idea of Sankhya, which is a dualistic philosophy, one of the six philosophies of India. India has six systems of philosophy. All are, mind you, Indians always believed that there are different stages of truth. So you travel from lower truth to higher truth, as Swami Vivekananda said. Even in the Vedas, he said, nothing was rejected. When you discovered something higher, you did not reject the lower truth because it is valid in a certain frame of reference. For example, when you do a scientific study of any subject, physical sciences, for example, the Newtonian laws hold true. I mean, they are true, definitely they are valid for a certain system. But when you go deeper into the quantum reality, quantum mechanics do not follow the Newtonian laws because they're true at the macrocosmic level, at a gross level, but at subtle levels, the paradigm changes. So we have a new set of laws, which is known as quantum mechanics, so on and so forth. If you go deeper, you go, the fresh laws are discovered. But for that reason, we cannot discard Newtonian laws, which are valid for our system. I mean, all the gross objects, they follow the same laws of motion. So also, if you see the Bhagavad Gita, this particular chapter, which is known as Kshetragna Yoga, as I often mentioned, it was the genius of Vivekananda who classified yogas into four different major yogas: Jnana Yoga, Raj Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and uh, Karma Yoga. So these four yogas, they correspond to the four mental faculties, the four faculties of the mind, that is thinking, feeling, willing, and the power to restrain thoughts, which is Raj Yoga. So Jnana Yoga deals with the faculty of thinking of the human mind, cognition. But there is this emotion which we have to consider when we deal with the mind. It's part of our same mind, but another faculty. So when we deal with Bhakti Yoga, we are dealing with emotions. When we are dealing with our willpower, which is action oriented, then we have Karma Yoga. So also, Dhyana Yoga or Raj Yoga, which is the name which Swami Vivekananda gave, because that forms the basis of all other yogas. The concentration of the mind with which we can do bhakti, concentration of the mind with which we can practice jnana. Even to do karma yoga, we need concentration. So he called it Raja Yoga, the king of all yogas. So that is how he classified the four yogas. But if you see, Anything that helps you to grow spiritually is a yoga, to connect you with reality. And that is why Bhagavad Gita says at least there are 18 chapters, each one of them is a yoga. So, this is a well known fact that each chapter ends with a verse. Sri Krishna himself tells it is a yoga shastra, it is a Brahma Vidya. It will teach you the ultimate knowledge of, it will give you the ultimate knowledge of Brahman. But the process used is yoga. So it is like it is like science and technology. Science, pure sciences give you the principles, but it is technology that help to apply those principles in our day-to-day life. So yoga is the science or practical science, applied science, whereas the philosophy is the theoretical part of it. So also you will find each chapter is not only a Brahma Vidya, which teaches you the higher truth, but it also teaches you the path to that truth, which is a yoga. So we have Vishada Yoga, for example, which may be surprising to many. How can depression be Vishada or depression, some sort of depression which Arjuna had? How can it lead to yoga? It can lead because that is how you are disillusioned with the things of the world. Till that disillusion comes, you don't seek higher things. We are happy with the present state of things as long as things go according to your wish, according to your will. So you need a Vishada also to practice yoga. So Vishada is also a yoga according to Krishna. So we have Sankhya Yoga, we have Bhakti Yoga, 12th chapter. We discussed the 12th chapter. Now this is another yoga where you distinguish between Kshetra and Kshetragna. Kshetragna means one who knows the Kshetra. What is Kshetra? Kshetra is simply the field. Literally, it means the field. And one who knows the field is the Kshetragna. In this case, it is in Sankhya, it is known as Purusha and Prakriti. So, what is Prakriti? Anything that you see moving around you, the whole of nature, which is ever changing, is Prakriti. It is eternal. According to Sankhya, Prakriti is always eternal. So also Purusha. Purusha is the eternal witness. Because unless there is a screen, if you project a film on that screen, it appears to be moving, though it is static because it is only the screen that is giving it a motion. The motion may be because of the projector and the film is moving at a particular speed, with a particular speed. So you see that there is motion. The moment you switch off the projector, only the screen remains. So this is a crude example, but this is how we can perhaps imagine that the eternal witness or Purusha is the Purusha, and the eternal player or the eternal changing reality is Prakriti. The very definition of Prakriti you will find is being given here in verse 19 and 20. So these two verses will explain what are the two realities which are going side by side. They are eternally two realities which are existing even now. But the problem is when you mistake the Purusha for Prakriti or Prakriti for Purusha. When that mixing takes place. Even Shankaracharya has to admit, though he doesn't admit two realities, he says when there is a state where the unreal gets mixed up with the real. The real is always true, but somehow you get an illusion that the unreal is also eternal. And this strange mixture, which is not unreal in that sense, in the ultimate sense it is unreal, but for practical purposes, he says it is Vyavarika Satya. We see the world, but after all, when you wake up from the dream, then you realize that the dream was an illusion. But when you are dreaming, we never think that it is false. All the nightmares, all the beautiful dreams that we have, we think it is real till we wake up. So that is the idea that Advaita gives. There is only, according to them, there is only Brahman or Purusha. And Prakriti is something which is a superimposition. It has a temporary validity, temporary existence. Whereas Sankhya's and Bhagavad Gita also says Prakriti and Purusha are eternal verities. So this verse 19, which we discussed last time, but I'll recapitulate. Prakrutim purusham chaiva vidyanadi ubhavapi, means ubhav api. Vikaranscha gunanschaiva vidhi prakriti sambhavan. So he's first telling you both are eternal, according to Sankhya. Prakritim purusham, the eternal witness or eternal consciousness. Without the consciousness, there is no play of Prakriti which you can perceive, because just as without a screen, no matter how much you project in the empty space, you can't see the movie or you can't see the motion of that particular film. You see it only on the backdrop of something which is eternal, which is steady, the screen which is steady. So also here, without Purusha, Prakriti cannot exist by itself. So both are necessary. Only problem that a human mind or human beings face is they take the Purusha to be Prakriti, they get mixed up, and they think things which are temporary, like our wealth, like our health, like our life, everything we know. Yudhishthira says in Mahabharata, we know every day we know that people are living and then growing and then one day dying. We see death in front of us. Every day we see somebody dying, if not our near and dear ones. But still, he says in Mahabharata, Yudhishthira says, somehow we get convinced that we are not going to die, at least not in the near future. And we keep on postponing this idea. So Nachiketa did not want to postpone. He told his father, you do what you like. I will go to the king of death himself because I want to know this mystery. I don't want to live with confusion. What happens after death? I want a solution. Mind you, a 13-year-old boy goes and asks Yama. And he says, I am not going to be distracted. You tempt me with wealth. You tempt me with all the temporary things. I know the scripture says they are temporary. So you can't tempt me. You can tempt my father, and poor fellow thinks he will go to heaven. But anyway, I will not be tempted. I want to know the truth, and I'm not going back without knowing the secret. Why we take these temporary things to be permanent? Knowing fully well, Prakriti and Purusha are separate. So the answer is given by Sri Krishna. He says, Prakritim, Purusham, they are eternally coexistent. Anadi means they are without beginning, without end. Ubhav api, both. See, it's not that Prakriti it is temporary in its nature, but it's that temporary nature makes fools us thinking that it is permanent. We think our body is permanent somehow, at least for the time being, we console ourselves that all the property is going to last. We know fully well, every fool also knows that after they die, they have to leave everything behind, the gross things. So they don't try to gather something which is more permanent. That is, Sri Krishna says that. There are certain things in Prakriti which are more permanent than the gross things. So a wise man will follow that. But we don't even do that. Anyway, he says both are, but why Vikaran? Vikaran means modifications. The changes that take place in Prakriti. Gunan means the qualities. Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. That is also a wonderful scientific way of explaining why different natures are there. In the same family, why two brothers are different. Why two people, twins also, they may be different. So know that these gunas, and even know Prakriti, they are born out of Prakriti. So he's defining Prakriti. Anything that changes, anything that has modification, it's a very scientific definition, and which is modified, which is composed of gunas. Gunas is one way to classify. Tamas, gross. Rajas, a little more energy, less material. And Sattva is pure energy or pure pure knowledge. So there is this gradation. So as I said, Vivekananda gave a beautiful definition of spirituality or civilization. He said, progressive reading of spirit into matter. So if you see only matter, then you are a materialist. You are not better than animals. Even animals have a little sense of spirit. They are not so greedy. They eat what they need. They are not keen to gather material things. But The more you read or more you consider matter to be more important, the less you consider spirit to be important. That is why he's saying the progressive reading of spirit into matter. We are maybe now reading a little bit of spirit or the pure consciousness, a little bit of Purusha we imagine when we meditate, when we are calm, when we are peaceful. We get a glimpse of that Purusha. But Prakriti overwhelms us, especially tamasic guna. Tamas will say, no, 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 you have to gather. 1 million is not enough. Have 10 million, have billion, then you will be very safe. Knowing fully well that even these billions cannot save if the gunas don't cooperate and the modifications don't cooperate, then a simple disease, a simple virus can kill you. So, anyway, these gunas and these modifications, because that is the nature of Prakriti. He is not, Sri Krishna is not discussing the merits and demerits. Prakriti is equally important. That is why we have the concept of Shakti or Divine Mother. That is nothing but Prakriti, because the creative power is always feminine. And our Indian tradition, especially the Tantras, the Shakti Pujaris, or the people who worshipped Shakti, they knew the power of Shakti. She can delude, she can release you also. She has a positive power which can release you from this bondage, but she has a negative power. She can use her power of tamas to make you totally stuck to material things. But they are all born of Prakriti, good and bad. So the combinations, all the modifications and the gunas. So various combinations of gunas. If there is more sattva guna, you are more spiritual. That means more of spirit is manifested in matter. So also Krishna says, whatever be the combination, no, everything, even sattva is a product of Prakriti. They are born out of Prakriti. So there is a very nice story. Sri Ramakrishna's stories are much more easy to understand than the Bhagavad Gita verses, because this is, you have to understand Sankhya philosophy. Sri Ramakrishna gave a very nice story, even told a very nice story of three robbers to explain Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. I think you have heard the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. In his very simple Bengali language, he explained what philosophers cannot explain. He told a story. He said there were three robbers in a jungle and there was a rich man passing by. So they thought of robbing him. So all the three robbers decided he had plenty of money with him. They took everything. And then the tamasic person, the one robber, said, you just kill him because we have looted everything. Now he should not be alive, otherwise he will identify us. Maybe in future we have to destroy all the evidence. So just let us kill him. Then another robber said, no, no, no. He was a little, maybe slightly, he had better gunas. He was Rajasic. So he said, no, no, let us do one thing. Let us tie him. We can easily tie him and tie him to a tree so that we can escape. So afterwards, even if he tells the police, they can't locate us. So then the first one agreed. That means first person was tamasic. He was just wanted to kill him, finish the matter now and there, now and here. But the second one said, why should we unnecessarily kill? We got what we wanted, so we'll tie him to a tree. And the third person, afterwards they left him tied to a tree. Then the third person just thought, see, some animal may come, some tiger may come, it's as good as killing him. In the forest, we are leaving him tied. He cannot even defend himself if a tiger comes. So he quietly goes and opens the rope and tells him, you go home now. We have got what we want, you just go home. Then that person who was robbed was relieved. He said, thank you so much. Please do come to my house. Even though he had lost everything, he said, please come. My village is not very far. So please come and I can entertain you. So he says, no, 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 I cannot come with you because I'll be caught. So anyway, you go, I go my way, you go your way and be happy. So that third robber, according to Sri Ramakrishna, was Sattvic. Sattva is also afraid of the police. That means it is also a bound person. The first person was just merciless. He said, just kill him. Second, at least said, tie him. But then the third one, Sattva, tells you it manifests more of the spirit than matter. It's not just concerned about material things. So it tells the mind, I mean, it's a state of the mind. These gunas are state of our prakriti, our nature. So one nature says, okay, since there's no point in even tying him. If we just release, we got what we want. But at the same time, he is afraid to go with that victim to his home because he knows somewhere the police may catch him. So he says, I don't have access. I have to leave now. So that means even the third guna, the sattva guna, though it is superior to the other two gunas, he is a robber. He is a noble robber compared to the other two. So that is how the three modifications result in different natures. That is what he is saying. When you say prakriti of a person, or a animal, or any being, or even a tree, everyone has a prakriti. That means it has its own nature, which are born out of the gunas, various permutations and combinations of the different gunas. So they are not essentially different deities. The same reality, as it were, splits into two different phases of self assertion and self expression. So the pure consciousness, it doesn't undergo any modification. So Sri Ramakrishna gave another example. It is so difficult to understand Gita or this philosophy in philosophical terms. He said it is like a snake, steady snake, and a snake which is moving. So a steady snake, for all practical purposes, it is dead because it is not moving. But a snake with motion is like the Prakriti. The pure consciousness appears to be moving, appears to be dying, appears to be giving, it has a creative phase, it has a destructive phase. Everything that is born will die. So we see there is change. So, but behind that change, when the same reality does not, just pure consciousness, there is no expression or modification, it is known as Purusha. So, this changeless reality puts on the appearance of changefulness and modification. So, Purusha is the original entity and it appears as Prakriti. So, Prakriti, according to Sankhya, puts on the cloak or it embodies itself in time, space, and causation. So, if you see the Einstein's laws, he says we think time, space, and causation are absolute, but they are not. He proved. Maybe it was based on the same philosophy as this Bhagavad Gita or the Upanishad. This is an Upanishadic idea that time, space, and causation make the pure consciousness look as if it is bound in time, in space, and also it has a cause and effect. This is the cause, this is the effect. So, all the modification that you see, you sow a plant, you sow a seed, the plant comes out. So, there is a cause and there is an effect. So, that is causation. And it occurs in time. Say 1 year, 2 years, the seed becomes a tree. So, time, space, and causation. But Einstein, for the first time, showed that when you go deeper into the even material reality, time, space, and causation shows the nature of relativity. It becomes completely relative to the time frame, to the space frame, to the frame of causation. So, past, present, all these things change in different subsystems of even physical nature. Forget spiritual nature, it's just even in physical, even in mental, so also in mental nature. For example, Sri Ramakrishna used to give the example of a dream. One person started dreaming and he could dream that he has lived, he is growing up, he is past 12 years, but all that has happened in a few seconds, in a few minutes. He has seen his entire life or so many incidents going on. He's traveling here, he's traveling there, It's after all a dream. The time and space have completely changed in a relative state of mind. He is in a relative state of existence, that is a dream state, which is very much real at that time. But when the time space he gets up, he says, "Oh, I am in the bed. I have never gone to London or any other place." But in the dream, you travel so much, you do so many things, and you're surprised how in those few minutes you could dream of several years. So, this Prakriti makes that Purusha feel that it is bound at various levels and different time, space, and causation constraints. So that is what Sankhya philosophy is all about. It says these are eternal realities, but they look like different. It is constituted of the three gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas, I explained. Because of its changeful nature, it is also known as Maya. But that is, Maya is a word which we think is an illusion. It is not just an illusion. Swami Vivekananda says it's clearly a statement of facts. Maya is not just an illusion. It just as a dream is not an illusion when you are dreaming. So Maya means we are seeing, we are getting up, we are doing everything as if this world is real. And it is logical because you can't just wish away. You have an exam, you have a target set, you know you have to do these things, this thing, this thing. And you can't just sit at home and say it is Maya. You can't. Maya, it's because it is changeful. The simplest definition, the best definition of Maya, we we are confused if we read Shankaracharya because we get an impression that everything is Maya, everything is an illusion. It has caused so much of problem in if it is misunderstood. So Swami Vivekananda delivered 3 lectures on Maya and illusion in England, London especially. In Piccadilly, he decided because there was a lot of confusion. People used to say your Indian philosophy is dreamy. You say that this world is Maya, but see, we are so powerful. We have conquered you, we conquered so many continents. And you people still dream in sitting in India on the Himalayas and saying this world is a Maya. So he wanted to remove the misconception that was in the Western minds of this concept of Maya. So he said Maya is a statement of fact. He says Maya is nothing but a statement of fact. That means it is intensely real. But why it is considered to be temporary? Because, he says, he gives 4 or 5 examples. Some are very good, some are very crude, but very, very powerful. The day he spoke this, he gives a simple example. He says there is a mother who knows his child is a scoundrel and he has done so many bad things. So if that child was not her child, she would have just criticized him, said, "You should not do all these things," or put him in jail. But see the power of Maya, because it is her child, she defends her child to the extent he is harming others, he is a evil person, he is a wicked person. But the child holds on to the mother holds on to the child, and that, he says, is Maya. So, all the different examples Swamiji gives one after another. How people are holding on to things which they think is going to permanently solve their problems. Like, for example, accumulation of wealth. You think it will solve one fatal disease, even the billionaire will die. One virus is enough to kill him. So that is, he says, that is Maya. It is not a illusion. It is very much real. He is very much uh, convinced that my billions will save me. I'll go to the best hospital. I'll get the best treatment. That is why I'm saving. It's not that I just am mad accumulating money. I want money because money is ultimately going to give me a very good treatment. But then, how can you explain that same person with the best treatment, he dies? So it's not that he believed in something because of the predominance of tamas in him. So he was thinking material things can save a living thing. So he thinks money can save. He thinks even the medical system can save him. He clings on to hope because of his faith in matter. So the more you have faith in the spirit, you become more rajasic, sattvic. So Prakriti, though it confuses you and makes you cling to grosser things. It also teaches you to hold on to higher things. That is when spirituality is born. Then you understand what is more permanent, what is a better solution. Then Sri Ramakrishna used to make fun. He said God laughs on two occasions. Once is when the doctor says to the patient, "Don't worry, I shall cure you." Then God says, if I have decided that he will die, then he laughs at this doctor. He says, he thinks he can save, but if I decide he has to die, he will die. And then he gives another example of property. Two brothers are quarreling, they put a fence and they say, "This is my property, that is yours." And they quarrel, they fight, and God laughs. He says God laughs on these two occasions. I mean, he'll laugh on many occasions, but he says, uh, God says, "This is my land. The whole earth belongs to me. The whole planets, the whole galaxy belongs to me." And these people put a fence and say, "This is mine, that is mine." How long he will say it is mine? The day he dies, everything is left. I get back what human beings grab from me. And then he gives another example of Maya, of Prakriti, where he says, people have the tendency to heap everything around themselves. Nature allows that. It is Prakriti, through her tamasic guna, she allows him, she puts some kind of delusion. That is why we call her Maya, that he heaps everything around himself. But then he says that same Prakriti, after some time, says enough is enough. You have grabbed a lot. Swamiji, these are Swamiji's words, not my word. He says, Prakriti, nature or Prakriti, grabs his throat and whatever he has clutched with his hands, she makes him release everything. I mean, that is the what we observe in the world. When you die, you don't take anything with you. So also Alexander realized when they say that story, I don't know how far it is true. He conquered almost so many continents, and while he was going back, his soldiers were tired. They said, and he died on the way, all of you know. So he took a handful of dust. He said, "I grabbed so much of land, but I am dying with just a handful of dust that I have conquered. All these other things are going to be left behind." He learned the lesson, but it the very hard way. So also Swami Vivekananda says, Maya, the function of Maya of Prakriti is to allow you to a certain extent to gather things around yourself. But when a limit comes, then even Prakriti says enough is enough. So she will grab you by the throat, as Swamiji he uses some harsh words. He said she will grab your throat in such a way that you will release everything that you have grabbed. So that is, he says, Maya. So there are so many examples he gives. But unfortunately, it is beginningless, as Krishna says. It is beginningless. That's why people think foolishly that the world will become a nice place. During Mahabharata, there was war. During every age, there were wars. There is war even today. The nature of the war may change, the people change, the situation changes, the geographical location changes, but it is foolish, according to Swamiji, to imagine that the world will be a nice place. It is never going to happen because there is sattva, there is rajas and tamas. The play of Prakriti is going on. She creates, whatever she creates will be sustained for some time. And no matter how much you like it, oh, such a beautiful creation, such a beautiful body, such a beautiful uh, uh, health. But there is a limit, even that has to become old. So, this transformation, this Maya, was what influenced Buddha to give up the world. Till he saw all this transformation, the horrible effects of transformation, which he was seeing for the first time in his life. He was not allowed to see. He was told the world is such a nice place, you are a rich person. He got the best education, best food, best. No misery was allowed. He was not exposed to any misery. But the day he was exposed, he suddenly got the shock. Oh, this is Maya. Will I become old? Will I become Will I die? Will I have diseases like this person? I never knew these things happen. So, not knowing that or pretending not to know that is what is defined as Maya. So, it is a statement of fact. According to Swamiji, it is nothing, there is no illusion about it. It is as true as anything else. Yudhishthira says this. He says, everybody knows death is certain, but still they think they are going to live eternally. That is the effect of Maya. So she creates this because of more tamas. She creates a feeling in every human being that the temporary thing is permanent and they hold on to it when Prakriti herself will one day teach her child a lesson. So there is another beautiful example. Patanjali in his Yoga Sutras, there is a commentary by Vyasa on Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. Why you are comparing Prakriti to a mother? Mother is kind, then why is she exposing us to all these horrible things and then finally snatching away everything from us? He says it is not like that. He gives a beautiful explanation. He tells, like a very kind mother who, when the child is crying and he says, no, I want to go to the mela, I want to go to the fair, I want to buy this thing, that thing. He is not, I mean, he is restless. He wants his toys. So, this mother, loving mother, not that she hates the child, but she accepts the demands of that child and takes him to the mela. This is exactly how it is explained. So, Prakriti is like a loving mother who takes you through all these experiences, good and bad, because in there are some terrible experiences, some frightful experiences in the Mela. Sometimes, every time it is not pleasant. Sometimes you go up and then the child is frightened. So, after he has finished watching the whole drama or the whole Mela, then the child, when it is hungry, this is what Sri Ramakrishna gives, and even Sri Ramakrishna also tells that when the child is hungry and then he says, I had enough of this, now no more funfair, let us go home. So he is panting to go home. Then the same mother, she doesn't leave him in that mela and go, no, you wanted to play, now you play. I will not know. The same mother, very kindly, she gives the person who is uh, caught in this maya a little of rajas and sattva, and then he feels that he should go back to the peaceful state of his home because there is too much of noise. But she did not stop him. So that is the reason. He says, mother is not cruel. The child wanted to play. The child wanted, but when it was tired, the mother did not leave that child. Said, okay, now you had your experience. So also, Sri Ramakrishna says, he gives another example. He says the ocean is sometimes calm and placid, and other times it is boisterous and furious. The big, big waves destroying ships. So Brahman is both actionless, Purusha is both actionless and active. When free from action, he is termed as Brahman, and when he is active, we call it Maya. The same thing Sri Krishna says, when it is motionless, when it is free from action, when it is calm and placid, peaceful, it is Brahman. When it is creating modifications, when there are transformations, ups and downs, then it is Prakriti or Maya. Then 20th verse, he will now say what is the uh, reason or what is the cause of our suffering. Why is introducing these two realities? Why should we know about Kshetra and Kshetrajna? Kshetrajna is the Purusha. Kshetra is the. So he says a knowledge of both. He's not saying you have to, like many philosophers, they will say just negate the world and just think of Brahman. That is the Advaita path, where you have to say neti neti. So that is why they say it is not suitable for householders. You can't say I don't have a wife, I don't have a child, I don't have a sansara. It is okay if you are in the jungle, you are alone. Advaita can be practiced. But most of the dualistic philosophies, they give Prakriti equal validity. They said, we know it is temporary, but we can't give it up. Just like Duryodhana, when he was told, why did you do this? Did not the same teachers teach you and Pandavas? They were cousins. So he says, Janami dharmam nachame nachame pravrutti, janami adharmam nachame nivrutti. I know what is dharma. The same teacher, Dronacharya, taught the Pandavas and taught me also, the Kauravas also. But I know what is dharma, but I don't know why. That is because of the gunas. I don't know why I can't follow it. I also know the consequences of adharma. I have to die because of that. But still, nachame nivrutti, ajanami adharmam. He says, Krishna, you are responsible. In fact, he blames him. He says, then Krishna says, why I am responsible? You know what is dharma, you know what is the adharma. But he says, no, it is the gunas make me follow adharma. I know what is adharma, but still I am following it. I know what is dharma, but I cannot follow it, even if I want to. So that requires a sattvic bent of mind. So gunas manipulate us, that is the reality, but at the same time it gives us hope. Like the mother who takes you and makes you pass through all the experiences which make you tired, which make you exhausted. But the same mother is there to give you rest when you say, no, I have enough of, now I can't go any more in the Mela, I want to go back. So that is what it is said. But what is the effect of that Prakriti? Means how are we connected? This is as far as Prakriti and Purusha outside is concerned. But in our own life, what does this Prakriti mean? Not for others, for us. That is mentioned in the second verse. Karya Karana Kartrutve Hetu Prakriti Ruchyate Purusha Sukha Dukkhanam Bhoktrutve Hetu Ruchyate. Now he says Karya Karana Kartrutve means in the production of the body and the senses, the cause is Prakriti. That means because of a various combinations of Prakriti, including the cause, that is our past karma. Why are we born in a good family or in a bad family? Or why are we born with the imperfections, diseases, chronic diseases, autism, and all those things? That the cause is Prakriti, no doubt. In the production of this body, the body that we get and the sense organs that we get. But is Prakriti is the cause. But that is only part of the story. No matter how much disadvantageous position you are in because of Prakriti, there is another side which gives you hope. He says, Purushaha Sukha Dukkhanam Bhoktrutve Hetu. So now having Prakriti has given us a body and a mind and the senses, and consequently how you use it, we have a mind. But he says that they don't give, Prakriti has not given you either pleasure or pain. Who gives you pleasure and pain? That is Purusha. Bhoktrutva means in the experience. He is experiencing the same thing two people may experience. One person, there, say two brothers, two twins, exactly the same physical body, same sense organs, all are equally fit. One person, if somebody takes away something from him, he will cry, he will shout. Maybe his brother will not do that. So he doesn't feel pain. He says, okay, you want it, you take it. You see, the same twins having two different natures. Two human beings have two different natures. Pleasure and pain is not because of Prakriti. That is what Krishna is telling. It is because of your reaction, your attitude, the reaction of the Purusha to that. If somebody is very calm and collected, he will say, okay, he's taken it away, I'll get something else. The other fellow, no, I want that same thing. So, Sukha and Dukkha, pleasure and pain, that choice is of the Purusha. That means you are responsible. You may not be responsible of what kind of body you get, what kind of sense organs you get, how sharp they are, how strong they are, how healthy they are. But definitely, whether you want to be happy or you want to be miserable, that is in the hands of Purusha. So the distinction you can see, Sukha Dukkhanam, Bhoktrutva in the experience, Hetu, the cause is said to be Purusha. So that is one uh, way to understand the difference of what Purusha, what is its function. It will give you pleasure or pain depending on how you react. So there is a reactive mind. The sense organs will give you the same input, but how you react to it is your bhoktrutva, means how you are dealing with the situation. For that you require buddhi, development of a higher faculty of the mind, which says it doesn't matter if I lose it, maybe I'll get it. Or you can panic and shout and run after it. It's not going to change anything. You are creating problems for yourself, ourselves. So they say in the production of the body, this is the essence of verse 20, body and the senses, Prakriti is the cause. Beyond that, Prakriti has no role. It is the experiencer, one who experiences pleasure and pain. Identical bodies may feel different pains and pleasure sensations depending on how they react. So, Purusha is the cause because he is the pure consciousness. So, we see in genetic, that is why there is a beautiful book by one famous biologist who though he is a very reputed scientist who should have got Nobel Prize, Bruce Lipton, but because he went against the system, he perhaps was inspired. I don't. There's no record that he has read the Upanishads or this Gita, but he came to an independent conclusion based on his studies that you are making too much of these genetics. You are inheriting from your parents. So what can we do? If you are angry, you will say it is because my father was always angry. I am angry. That is not. He has proved biologically that this is not true. Of course, genetic research, the people who have spent billions and billions of dollars in genetic research, they were afraid that because of this theory, which he proved, in fact, he proved, where he said that there are 3 trillion cells on an average in a human body. Each cell is an independent decision maker. This is a revolutionary discovery made. Each cell is an independent decision maker. It's like a big city or a big world, entire world living together. So the cell of the intestine has to coordinate with the cell of the heart and the cell of the brain. All these cells are like independent citizens of a vast country. Each one has intelligence. There is a Purusha. That is exactly what he's telling here. They have the capacity. So you can't blame everything. Genetics may be part of our physical characteristics. Some things you may inherit from your father and mother. But beyond that, you are the product of your own karma, your own Purusha. Each Purusha, according to Sankhya, is different. So, father may transform himself physically into a son. I mean, there are some characteristics that he will inherit. Subsequently, some of the doings of his son may delight, where some may pain him. Because he would expect the son to do this, and the son will do something else. If it was just hereditary, then he should have been happy with whatever he does, and he should have exactly followed the same plan as a robot does. Just follow, you multiply the same thing, it will do identical things. So Purusha that poses to become, it is Purusha that takes on, modifies or runs the Prakriti. So it can run it in different way. It might have inherited the same body, same senses, similar disease capacity, chronic diseases he may share with his father. That part may be hereditary, but there is a huge part which is not hereditary. Otherwise, how can you explain Jesus' father, they say, Swamiji says, was a carpenter, but his son became an avatara. So you don't have an avatara whose son is an avatar. That never happens because the capacity of Purusha has how much it got involved in Prakriti. That separation of Purusha and Prakriti is yoga. it's one of the fundamental definition of yoga, is that when they get mixed up, you are confused and you are spiritually underdeveloped. But when you separate Purusha and Prakriti, you understand. That's why Gita says, know what is Kshetrajna, what is Kshetra, that is, know what is Purusha, what is Prakriti, what Purusha is capable of doing, what Prakriti is capable of doing, and then you plan your life. So, modifications of Prakriti are just affecting your body and the senses. The senses in that turn, get classified into different Gyanendriyas, Karmendriyas. Karmendriyas means organs of action. Those are also organs. There are other organs which give knowledge: eye, ear, smell. So these are Gyanendriyas, means they give you knowledge. You have to process. Still, knowledge will go to identical twins, but one twin will process it differently and react in one way. Another twin brother, though they have the same physical characteristics. So they Gyanendriyas, which is more subtle than Karmendriyas, will motivate the person, different people, to react in different ways. Some will get angry quickly, some will be calm because they have seen the same thing and the same person is scolding them, but they will react differently. So both forms are presented to the Purusha. Now, how Purusha reacts, Bhoktrutva, how he reacts to those, that will decide how much pleasure and pain they will have. One will be highly emotional. He will just react, and if somebody is shouting, he will also shout. Then the shouting battle will go on, and then there will be no solution. Another fellow will say, "Let me just keep quiet. He is not in his right senses." So that choice making capacity is a function of the higher mind, a higher sattvic mind. That is what he says. So Prakriti, as the Purusha asserts himself, Purusha himself, or the consciousness asserts more and more, then you are not just like an animal. You are just much better than animals who have just reactive. They have reactive minds. If one dog barks, the other has to bark. But human beings don't do that. If they do, then they are not much better than dogs. So that is why pleasure and pain is our choice. But how the information comes in, how we, all these bodily actions and bodily processes are belong to the Prakriti. So Purusha, if it is in control of Prakriti, then he is happy. That person is happy. So in molding the character of the Jivatma is the observer, the seer. So he has to understand how Prakriti works. So it is like, as I said, there is a foster mother, there is a real mother. Foster mother will do her duty, like you saw, like you see normally. Foster mother can never be a real mother. So spirituality is the real mother of who really wants your welfare. Foster mother will just give, because the child is shouting, it wants its toys. It said, okay, go and play. Till the child is tired and he says, no, I don't want this. I'm tired. This is not giving me happiness. Then she will, you like a real mother, take that child, the same Prakriti, mind you, the same Prakriti which put the Jivatma in bondage will lead him from unreal to real, from ignorance to enlightenment. So, and then we'll see, we'll conclude now. Before the next two verses, which deal with a different topic, we'll just discuss one quote of Sri Ramakrishna from the Gospel. So, Sri Ramakrishna believed, he used to call Prakriti as Mahamaya because he was a Shakta. So, or he was, you can say, even a Vedantin and a Shakta combined, where they don't use the word Prakriti. Prakriti and Purusha is used only in Sankhya, but it doesn't mean anything different. Brahma and Maya, that is in Vedanta, Shiva and Shakti. Shiva is pure consciousness, Shakti is the mother. So he says, blessings, spiritual blessings such as Brahma Jnana and the bliss of Brahman come to us mortals. This is from the Gospel, because of the gracious meditation of meditation on the Mahamaya. So you need the grace of the mother, your own mother, not the foster mother, who misguides you. That is because you foolishly tell the mother that I want to see the whole play. So she says, okay, you play. Tell me when you are tired, then the foster mother role is over, then the real mother. He says, the mediation, not meditation, the mediation. She comes and says, no, yes, my child has been playing for a long time. Now he needs rest. So, unless Mahamaya mediates, that is why Sri Ramakrishna used to say, see, if I get angry on you, nothing will happen. Nothing serious will happen. But if Holy Mother gets angry, then I can't save you. So that is what he meant, that Prakriti has a major role to play. Purusha is neutral. It will not punish you, nor will it reward you. That is the jurisdiction of Mahamaya. But for her intervention, none can even have a peep into the beyond. So, even Advaita Vedantins, Shankaracharya composed so many songs on the Divine Mother, many hymns. You may ask if he doesn't believe, if he thinks the Divine Mother is just Mahamaya, as Totapuri believed. He said there is no point in praying to the mother. But then he learned the lesson. Sri Ramakrishna, before he left, he taught Totapuri, the Advaita, that the Divine Mother is equally real. She is another aspect. Not that she is real in that sense. Reality is only one Brahman. But experience of the transitory world also comes to man because of her grace. You may call it grace because till you are disillusioned, it is a grace. Now you will see 99% of the people will be happy. Oh, I prayed to the mother and she gave me a car. Oh, I prayed and I go regularly. By her grace, anything good thing we get, we definitely praise her, saying that it is the grace of mother, Mayar Ichha Hoiche, because of her grace. We never say. But when misery comes, we don't say it is by mother's grace we are getting misery. So, everything comes to man, even the good things, she says, even the experience of the transitory world. So that comes, even if you want something in the world, she says, okay, you want these toys, you play. For that, even though she is a foster mother, ultimately she knows that the child is going to throw away those toys. The experience comes because of her grace. The enjoyer and the enjoyment. It may be a worldly enjoyment, it may be a Brahma Jnana. It's just a degree. They are all exist, they do not exist outside our domain. In the sense, though the Purusha does it, she makes the things either favorable or unfavorable. Now, how does this Jivatma, that is the pure consciousness, Purusha, because according to Sankhya, everybody, the Jivatma is a Purusha, he is the observer, he is the Kshetrajna, the knower of the Kshetra. How the person, the human personality is educated by Prakriti. What does she do? What are the various steps she takes? How does she gradually train the Jivatma to be free, to be free? So, first he will say, show that what is the seed of our worldly life. Because Krishna himself said, she is the one who teaches us how to be worldly, how to get these temporary things and be happy for the time being. Of course, she will later on also be compassionate enough to show that have you finished your enjoyment? Now you come. I'll show you a higher enjoyment. So the seed of mundane life, that is the worldly life, is planted by her. Purusha prakritastho hi bhungte prakriti jan gunan. Through her various gunas, she says, okay, this fellow needs to be he wants a little enjoyment. So she'll give a little of tamas and rajas. So he'll run after wealth. He will convince himself this is the goal of life, to become a billionaire. And she will encourage him. In fact, she gives the strength. Even to earn money, Swami Vivekananda said, you need the grace of Shakti. So she will give him. That is what Krishna is also saying. Says Prakriti Jan Gunan. Means those which are born out of Prakriti, the three gunas, she will perhaps decide that you will have more of tamas and rajas, and then you say, now you run, she will make you run the, they say, rat race. So there is this idea of success. So somebody, when they feel that children are not motivated or they're running after success, they think it is an abnormality. Why is my son or daughter not competing with others? Why she's happy? Or if she's content or if he is content, what is the problem? Does everybody has have to run after that? Of course, Prakriti makes that person run. If you, even if you want to stop, there are people who, you, no matter how much you tell them, they will run after success, what they think is success. But what they run after is controlled by Purusha, not by Prakriti. So that is what she, in the 21st verse. So both are responsible. One gives you the idea of pleasure and pain, but that is a consequence. But the things that you choose, the choice making capacity, unfortunately, is not, if it is not used properly, then Prakriti does not interfere. She says, you want, okay, mother is happy to give the child what the child wants. Then if the child cries and says, this is not what, this is not giving me happiness, okay, I'll give you something higher. Now you come to spirituality. If you are not convinced, then he'll give you Brahma Jnana. Even that, Thakur used to say, even Brahma Jnana you cannot get without her compassion. So you have to be always praying to the Divine Mother, Prakriti, because she is controlling your lower needs, the intermediate needs. Though you know it is temporary, she is causing the delusion for whatever reason we cannot question. That is why Swami Sarvasthananda used to uh, like that poem very much. He used to sing. When Holy Mother passed away, he was asked to finish the great master. So, Lila Prasanga, he could not. Then somebody asked, you were so close. Your name is Sarvasthananda. You always lived with Holy Mother. Definitely you have understood her. So then he sings that song. Means I don't know whether I should laugh or I should cry. Because seeing the state of the world that my mother has created, I have rarely, with great difficulty, I try to understand, but I am still confused. A spiritual person like Shardanji says, I have not understood the play of the mother because, and I sometimes I feel she, when she acts in a particular way, which I think is unjust, I don't like that. So I don't know whether I should cry or why I should, whether I should laugh. There's a nice Bengali song to that effect. And he says, in spite of being living so close with her, she still is a great mystery to me. So that is how Prakriti has been defined. Said they experience, people experience, the Jiva experience according to the gunas that she gives. And that attachment to the gunas is the cause of his or her birth in good and evil wombs. That is the first verse. And then there are other verses which shows how to remove that delusion, how to ask the mother who, no doubt, because of her good karma and because of the gunas, she has given us birth in good or bad families, as healthy or weak bodies. Everything is due to Prakriti, we understand. But then what is the solution? So that will be discussed in verse number 22 and 23. So we'll discuss it in the next class. Are there any questions online? So we will be concluding. There are many verses in this 13th chapter, uh, which will be concluded. And then we'll take the 14th chapter, which describes different types of shraddhas, faith. Different types of gunas give rise to different types of shraddha. Sattvic shraddha, tamasic shraddha, different qualities, different faiths. Because as we think, so we believe. As we think, so we act. So our shraddha or our faith determines to a large extent. On that depends our fate, our future. So, what are the different types of Shraddha? Just like gunas are three, Shraddha also can be Sattvic, Rajasic, and Tamas. That we'll discuss in the 14th chapter. Any question here? Yeah. Oh, that is Vishada Yoga. That is, yeah, that's the only first chapter where Sri Krishna, the question is, he was a very powerful Kshatriya. Not only Kshatriya, he defeated the whole Kaurava army even before when they were in Vanvas. So he knew that he was strong, he would definitely win the war. But somehow, due to a very strange mixture of fear and many things, there's not one reason why he became depressed. He saw his near and dear ones, then he thought, I have to kill them. His own guru was there. So many things were going on in his mind. That is a normal case with every one of us. So Vishada is not something which we plan. Everybody encounters that because there are situations where we don't know what to do. We are so, but in this case, because he had a guru like Krishna, so that is why they say that if there is a guru, he can convert the Vishada into a yoga. That is why I said even depression can be a yoga because the depressive state, till that state came, Arjuna never inquired about the goal of life. He was just focused on one thing. I have to fight and take revenge and kill and get my rightful. That was his dharma yuddha. Nothing wrong in that. That is how we lead our life. So our life is also like a battle, the same like Mahabharata. But in that battle, we very often we don't get things don't go our way as it did in his case. He had just asked for 5 villages. They didn't want to fight. They were confident that we can live on these 5 villages and then maybe later on expand. But even that he was not willing to give. So there was no other way. He knew that there is no. They were not warmongers. Even Yudhishthira did not want a war, and Krishna also tried to uh, avoid the war. But then when it was unavoidable, then you can't run away from that. So he was thinking of running away, partly because of fear, partly because of the emotional attachment to his cousins who were on the side of adharma. More than the cousins, the gurus and Dronacharya, Bhishmacharya, and all those people. So naturally, that Vishada, which was the result of his emotional, you may say, attachment to the people, came in his way of spiritual progress. So Vishada, in his case, then Sri Krishna has to tell him that it is not for yourself that you are fighting this battle. You are not the agent. You are forced to, your gunas will force you to fight. Even if you run away from the battlefield, your gunas, you can't live the world like that. You have to fight. Either you have to die or you have to win the war and enjoy whatever you target you have set. But at the same time, he gives all the 18, 17 more chapters where he teaches the other yogas. And finally, after the 18th chapter, he tells, I have told you all the different paths and yogas. Now you decide whatever you think is right, you do. He doesn't force him, you have to follow the second chapter or third chapter. He gives so many 18 ways, pathways to the solution of his whatever problem he was facing. But it all started with Vishada. That is why I said Vishada also can become a yoga in everybody's life. Buddha's life would not have been what he would not have become a great prophet if he had not seen misery. If he was in the palace, he would have had 2 more children. He had already one child. So he would have been happy with his family. And then suddenly, maybe during the war, he would have realized, like Ashoka realized. After killing millions of people, he suddenly realized, what have I done? Maybe that would have been the case. But fortunately, Buddha goes and sees misery. So Just like Arjuna, Buddha also, the change came. Tulsidas also. Tulsidas was a very, very worldly person. You know his history. Tulsidas I have told very often. Tulsidas, Valmiki. Valmiki was a robber, but Tulsidas' case also was like that. He wrote Ramayana. He would not have become spiritual if there was no Vishad or no scolding from his wife. His wife scolded him so much that she said, "What kind of attachment you have for me? If you had the same attachment for Rama, you would have realized Rama by now." So that changed him. And he said, "Yes, what she's saying is true." So immediately left his house and went to, started praying, and then he never mm, again led a worldly life. So that made him a saint. From an ordinary householder who was so much attached, he would not even allow the wife to go to her father's place. He was so much attached. He said, "No, you should not go." And she went, and he also went. In a very horrible situation, he reached in a flooded river and with full of mud and bruises and all. He goes there, and then the wife gets disgusted. He doesn't leave me even for a few minutes. So she scolds, "What is this? Why are you so much attached to me? If you had the same amount of attachment for your Rama, then you would have become a saint." And he really became. So Vishada can sometimes, that scolding changed his life. So here also Arjuna is scolded by Krishna. He said, "You are a coward. You are now running away from battle." So he scolds him so much. So that Vishada became, then he tells the other chapters. Explains the other spiritual part. But without this Vishada, perhaps he would not have told the Gita. That's the idea. Okay. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Shri Ram.